especially.
Yeah, especially considering how strong Galio is right now. Galio being an amazingly soft matchup into that Talon. Talon just does so much work, able to roam the map, and when you have a Gragas or a tank jungler along with that, you have a lot of options with you to win the game.
Yeah, and then also there's Kled too, coming in mid lane, so that does really well into Galio especially, because you kind of brought that up where normally you see the Talon into these very niche matchups, not necessarily going for something that you want to first pick Talon and really try to rely on that. You have to build the composition around him, while Kled can easily be saved a little bit more as well, but you don't have to build this composition as much as you do with the Talon.
No, not at all, and especially talking about Kled, Golden Glue has expressed interest in playing this character. It is very strong and has been shown in the last few games that we've seen today, in that Kled is very strong in the mid lane, very strong into the matchup versus Galio, who is currently a top tier pick. And he can roam around the map, get that ultimate charge off, and dive turrets very early.
That was weak.
That was
Sam,
weak?
That was weak. I expect a better charge. Come on.
Yep, sorry about that. I had the mic really close to my face, didn't want to blow it out, so I'm just going to sort of nail it away from the mic. Charge!
That was a good one.
That blew out our audio, so I apologize to the stream for that.
But that was much better. I appreciate that one a lot more. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's go and talk about the bot lane. Looking over towards Keith and Smoothie. Smoothie still in the academy, still bringing a lot of that veteran status, similar to how Sven Skaren's doing, but more of the shot calling role that we're used to seeing Smoothie in. How do you kind of use him with the new team and the new matchup for Cloud9 Academy?
Well, Smoothie's definitely no stranger to the Cloud9 Academy team. He can still utilize Keith. Him and Smoothie have the synergy that has been working so far, and I feel like that's going to continue moving forward. I would like to see a little bit more out of Keith in terms of that Morgana getting picked as soon as possible so that we can see some damage onto the side of Smoothie.
Tons of damage.
Get that Triforce builds going in.
See, those are the old days, man. Those are the days when you could build Triforce on everybody, because it had every scaling imaginable. It had crit, it had AP, it had mana, it had attack speed, it had health, like literally
crit, everything.
It was... I miss those days.
I do too.
But then again, I also miss the days of old Scion when you can either go full AP or you could go full damage for attack damage, but you couldn't actually use half your kit.
Yep.
You had to choose between half your kit. Oh, do I just rank up Q and W and not do anything with E and R? Or do I do E and R and nothing with Q and W?
It was a game within itself.
Yeah, it was. It was really fun.
A lot of fun.
Dynamic.
Exactly.
So see, now we're just getting an Akali rework and stuff.
Yep.
But that's coming later. That's coming later.
Yeah, that's 15. Yeah, whatever.
But we got to talk about the game at hand. We got to talk about Optic Academy. Optic Academy sitting right now 5-3. So this team is actually hot on the trails of Cloud9 Academy and really do need to win this game if they want to start topping the standings, if they want to show that they are a team to be feared with playoffs coming in just a couple weeks.
Yep, with 2 weeks, I believe it's 3 weeks left, excuse me. So with 3 weeks left, you have to be playing your all every single game. And now that they've played one against CLG Academy, they've shown a little bit of their strength. They've shown improvement, which I like to see out of a team. And they've shown that Alorum, despite getting camped, can still pull work. Yeah,
we just saw from the last game with the Counter Logic Academy, where poor Alorum was playing on Darius and hard camped the entire game. So honestly, for Optic Academy, they have a lot that they've kind of learned from that past game, and they can start building a composition that maybe utilizes a little bit more for Alorum so that he's not quite in this position where he's hard camped, hard farmed pretty much by the enemy team, especially when you're going against Shiro.
Yeah, it's very difficult to play against Shiro just because he plays these carry top laners so much. The Riven, the Yasuo, he's comfortable
Aatrox.
All of it. Aatrox especially, who we expect to be banned immediately by the red side, who is C9 Academy.
Yeah,
for this first game.
I believe the first one is Cloud9 Academy. Then they actually will swap over to blue side, which we don't usually see them. They like playing on that red side a lot more, but it's going to be interesting with how the pick and bans are, because you have to have Nocturne and Aatrox if you are on the red side, maybe even that Talon.
You have to have so many things, and that's just the state of the game right now, is there are more than 6 characters that are overpowered, and you need to get the ones that are not banned immediately.
Yeah, so honestly, then kind of swapping around all these roles, we talked about Alorum a little bit. We have to look over to Fnatic, who, for a bit, the jungler for Optic Academy, kind of has been struggling a little bit. He's had a position where he's really been forced into the funnel role that he doesn't seem too comfortable in, where him and Palafox have to go bot lane some of the games instead of having him in the jungle role, where he obviously looks more comfortable. But lately, with how the change to the meta has been going, he has been given a lot more of these actual junglers.
Yeah, he has been given the Kindred. We saw last game, we've been seeing a little bit more out of him in terms of those very hyper carry type junglers. However, it's just not what he does. Like, stats point to more of a tank-oriented jungler who team fights a lot, maybe the Gragas, the Sejuani. Something of that sort of variety is very much his wheelhouse. If he's out of that meta, he does not perform well, and the numbers have shown over the last couple of weeks that this is not his meta.
But at the same time, it is Palafox's
Yes,
meta. Palafox has been someone who has been hard carrying for Optic Academy. This guy has had outstanding numbers this entire split.
Yeah, he is top of the line in a bunch of different categories. I believe he is among the top KDAs, and I could just pull up the sheet right here. But believe you me, he is certainly someone to look out for. His XP difference is always positive. His kill participation at 74%. He is absolutely doing work right now.
Yeah, so it's really interesting to kind of see someone like that, especially in the mid lane role where he has been forced into the bot lane a couple times. That way they can flex around a little bit more, have gate into the funnel mid lane. But it's just interesting to see how Palafox can consistently keep sprouting up despite the fact that he's put into very awkward and weird situations.
Yeah, he can adjust to basically anything. We saw him play the Kled last time, but he can also play his mages, the Syndra, the Azir. He can play the Ryze, which has been on a rise itself.
Why do you do this to me?
What do you mean?
You know exactly what
I have no idea. I don't. What?
Rise
Audience?
to the occasion.
I have no idea.
Help me. Help me. By the way, Mark, the music's a tad bit loud. If we can lower that just a... Thank you. See, even chat's on me. They got the...
Yep, I see a rise. Yeah.
Anyways, moving on from Palafox, we have to talk about the bot lane, Eclipse and Gate, who have, we've already mentioned, the funnel composition really has been onto Eclipse. He's been the guy who's been given a lot more of the gold, but to limited success. So I almost wonder if you want to go back to the standard kind of composition with Fnatic on much more of a tank, and then Eclipse on not necessarily a crit AD carry. We're not going to see the crit AD carries probably till 8-14, but something a little bit more standard like Jhin that's been coming up, Ezreal, and Xayah.
Yeah, even the Varus I feel like would be a very good matchup onto him because this team plays very standard. I feel like a standard composition is what they need in order to pull this out. However, they are against Cloud9 Academy, who have shown they can play against standard, they can play against weird, they can play against off-meta. This is a very flexible team, and I feel like Optic just need to play to their strengths if they're going to pull this out.
Yeah, but Sam, we are getting into the Champion Select for the first game of our doubleheader for this Super Week. It's going to be between Optic Academy on the blue side and Cloud9 Academy. You might have a couple new faces here and there, but they are looking to continue their domination over the Academy scene, as Taliyah being the first ban from Optic.
No surprise whatsoever. She is still a top-tier jungle picked literally every single time if she is not banned because of her power and her ability to move around. Aatrox, another one of those top-tier picks that we're just never going to see picked ever again.
Never. Not at least until 8-14 when he does get some of those nerfs, because I believe he got some of the...
He got the hot fix buff.
Yeah, exactly. The hot fix buff, and then people are like, oh, maybe that's a little bit too much.
Yeah.
So now they're toning him down a little bit. I still expect him to be one of the top laners, even someone who can go into mid or bot lane.
Yep.
But not nearly as powerful and nearly as permaban as he is right now. But talk about permaban, Nocturne and Zoe both hitting the bench.
They have been hitting the bench since 8-12. Both of these characters are incredibly powerful, and Zoe especially, just ever since she got those small buffs back when she was released, that was all she needed in order to become a competitively viable and now competitively ultra-banned character.
It's one of those champions where no matter what they do, she just seems to constantly be powerful because she has so much in her kit. And
she's just portal jumping around, finding her way in and out of the meta.
Sleepy trouble bubbles everywhere. Never going to be awake. Not like this.
No,
not like this.
Not a terrible. Not a great thing.
Not a great thing. But Tahm Kench and Kindred now being the last bands to come in for the first rotation. Tahm Kench kind of indicates that maybe both teams don't want to go for the Jhin Hail of Arrows because that's normally what you see paired up with him.
Yes, indeed. And Tahm Kench just generally makes for that good tank line for your support. However, Braum is still up, and I feel like Optic Academy has had a strategy of banning away supports more often, so I'm surprised that they went for the Zoe and the Taliyah as opposed to maybe the Braum, maybe something like a Morgana. And instead, they get the Mundo as their first pick, probably that the top line in terms of the top line.
Yeah, but Gnar has been something that we have been seeing come up a lot. Brandini played that earlier today into Mundo, where sure, he was having a little bit of a difficult time in the split push, but once he got that Blade of the Ruin King, there was very little that could be done from Mundo. He kept shoving in, kept pushing around, so I almost imagine that Shiro might go on to Gnar, even though he does like to play much more of the hard scaling, hard farming, and hard carrying top laners.
Sure, it's not as much of a damage thing in the Gnar, but when you compare Gnar to a Fiora, you're still doing damage, you're still getting health, and you're still pushing the lane and dictating how you want to do it, especially when you get those 3 items, the Black Cleaver, the Executioner's Calling, and the Bork. That's pretty much all Gnar needs in order to succeed against a Mundo. Now that they know that that's locked in, they've chosen the Swain, and it looks like they're hovering the Morgana.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we didn't see the Rakan and Zaya locked in. Something that was actually skipped here in favor of that Tahm Kench was the Rakan ban that we've been seeing come up a lot. So maybe that's what Optic Academy want to lock in here as a response to Morgana, saying, okay, you can shield one person, but that's it. We can still get onto the backline.
Yep, Rakan is a very powerful pick, still one of those top-tier supports, as there are just so many top tiers, and I keep saying this word because of how many power picks there are currently in the game, but instead, Fiddlesticks being hovered and locked in. So Fiddlesticks, one of those surprises that may not come to the top of your mind immediately, but he's still very, very strong.
It does very well into Morgana, can easily get through the Black Shield. Purely with the Crows, just throw out one of the E's, it's gone, and you don't have to worry because then you can instantly target the Fear onto someone. So it is a nice pickup for Gate, who does like to play a lot more aggressively, and they already have the front line of Mundo.
Yes, indeed. So now they have Squishy, they have the tank. What will they do to even this out? So far, they have all the options available to them, and they will actually do the Jhin, but without a tank to support him.
That's interesting, because especially for this bot lane, Jhin can easily be picked on by Morgana. You land one good Dark Binding, there's not much Fiddlesticks can do to disengage from that besides the Fear, and as long as you see Smoothie playing properly on that Morgana, all you have to do is get the Black Shield onto the AD carry, easy kill onto Jhin.
There are just so many options to get onto him, and Sejuani is going to be that character that absolutely gets into that back line, able to pick out the Jhin, able to pick out the Fiddlesticks before he can unleash that Crow Storm. So I really like this pickup for Svenskeren.
And I almost imagine that they're just going to ban out the junglers. They already took away Trundle. Grog is probably going to be the next ban coming in for the side of Cloud9 Academy, while on the other side, they're just trying to make sure that they get an easy top lane with Darius being the ban, and I imagine Gnar going to be the last one.
I would hope Gnar, but honestly, there are still so many options for the mid lane right now. Yes, Zoe is banned out. Yes, we have Aatrox banned out as a potential mid laner, but you still have some available. You have every single mage available. You have Aurelia still available. Sure, she's seen some nerfs and not as much playtime, but it is a possibility that could come through in the side of Golden Glue.
So over for the side of Golden Glue, actually speaking, Lulu being banned is something that has been surprising, because he has been playing a little bit more of that, so maybe he wants to go for that Kled. We kind of mentioned it earlier that that is a possibility that they go for this really hard, aggressive mid laner into the face of Optic, who might go for Galio just to have extra front line. They already got the AP damage coming in from Fiddlesticks, so this could be Cloud9 reading that play and saying, we don't want to go against Lulu, we want to force you onto Galio.
Yes, indeed, and now Ashe being hovered. She has been a pickup over the last patch, but instead it's the Riven.
Ooh.
So with Gnar banned out, this will actually be a comfort pick for Shiro, going for that Riven, feeling like, hey, I don't care that you're a tank. I'm going to play the hyper carry, and I'm going to smash this lane as hard as possible.
Love seeing Shiro on Riven. It is really nice, but it's going to be a difficult laning phase into Mundo, who has a lot of base damage and is pretty healthy into a lot of aggression that Shiro is going to go for. So it's going to be a lot more about how the late game kind of scales up for Shiro, if he's going to be able to make those miraculous plays, the backdoors that we've seen him do time and time again on Riven.
Yeah, and if those backdoor plays come through, that's phenomenal. The only way he's going to be able to get to that late game is if he smashes the early game, if he gets that Svenskeren camp, and we talked about him pushing through the top lane and getting advantages for Shiro. If he does that, I feel like that's how this Riven pick works.
So now, the last pick for Optic Academy. They need their jungler right now, and with Gragas still being left open, I almost imagine it's that, but no. They want to go for a lot of pick potential. They already have Fiddlesticks, they have Jhin, and now Skarner, just to make sure that they can grab onto one target and take him down.
Yeah, with the Orianna on top, I have to feel like this is going to be an immense amount of pick. This is a lot of team fight, but their engage a little bit lacking from this team. Yes, the Skarner can run in, but you have a Morgana who can automatically shield whoever your closest person is. So I have to wonder what they plan to do with this Skarner.
Yeah, it is interesting because there's a lot of pick potential on the side of Optic Academy. And really, there are some valuable targets that you want to grab, especially with the Yasuo being locked in, most likely for Golden Glue. Could be swapped around. Keith could have his hands on that instead of going for Swain, but I imagine that they want the Swain and Morgana lane, which would be a lot more powerful into the Jhin Fiddlesticks lane. But at the same time, you have one target you can choose for Skarner. You have Yasuo, Riven, Swain that you have to deal with, and that's going to be really difficult if there's a good Dark Binding coming in from Smoothie to make it so that the Predator Skarner can't even get into the backline.
It's a super counter, so the Skarner, you had other options. I have to wonder why the Gragas didn't come in. It was still left up. It's still this very powerful pick right now. And yes, as we saw from Khan in the top lane earlier this week, it can be to a detriment. However, I still think it's a very consistent pick.
I think it's a consistent pick. It would have really fit in with their composition and given a lot of early game pressure over the side of Optic, where they clearly need that. Mundo in the top lane into Riven. You have Jhin Fiddlesticks bot lane into Swain Morgana. They want to have a lot of shove potential. They want to go for these early kills. So Skarner really is going to have a difficult time into this matchup, and this is where we need to see how Svenskeren is going to be able to play. Sejuani is not something known for early ganks, but into Skarner, this could be his opportunity to really outclass Fnatic.
Yeah, it gives a lot of options. Sejuani is something that Svenskeren has played a number of times throughout the spring split, as well as just throughout his career, since Sejuani has become a resurging pick throughout the last two or 3 years. However, I want to see what he can do without, I don't know, a bot lane presence, in the sense of you don't have any melee bot laners, so you can't stack that passive. You have a lot of CC that goes along with it. I want to see if he plays through the bottom or through the top.
You got mid lane too, though.
Yep.
You have Yasuo in mid lane on Golden Glue into Orianna. That's going to be a difficult matchup in itself, because Orianna has that range advantage, especially into Yasuo. And when her projectile, her ball, is not something that gets blocked by the wind wall, that could be an opportunity for the side of Optic to really punish the fact that there are the 2 melee champions on the top side of the map.
And the 2 melee champions are going to be where Optic looks to punish as much as possible. Yasuo, he can get behind early. He can still come back. Riven, however, if she gets that bad early game, and if Shiro gets caught out, as we have seen him do over the last few weeks, if he gets caught out and if he doesn't get that early lead, he won't be able to get those split pushes that we so know him for.
Exactly, and this is where we have to see how Cloud9 Academy are going to be able to adapt with the new roster, especially with Svenskeren being in there. He has to be at the helm and driving the ship alongside Smoothie, so that way they can really get these lanes ahead. They can get Golden Glue, they can get Shiro into a position where they're not threatened in their split push, and they can start winning these games. But over for the side of Optic Academy, they do have really good pick potential. You always do when you have Skarner.
Yes, you do. And again, we've talked how much it goes against the Morgana, but when the Morgana and the Yasuo wind wall are not present, when he goes for that top lane, I feel like that's where his advantage is going to be. So I believe this game is just going to come down to who can camp the top lane harder in the beginning.
I mean, we did see that earlier. The last game, CLG Academy going up against Optic, where poor Alorum was constantly ganked over and over again, sitting, I think, 0-5 by 12 minutes. He got dove twice right before level 5, was not having a good time, and honestly, when they picked Darius before, this time they have the Mundo. That could be their opportunity to make up for those mistakes before and help out Alarm, especially into someone like you mentioned who can snowball, such as Riven.
I really want to see how they make this happen, because if they learn, if they can adapt, as they have, then I feel like this may be a much closer game than the numbers would suggest. Yes, Cloud9 has only lost 1 game in the Academy Series, but they could still continue. This is a new jungler that they haven't used on this roster yet.
It's also looking over to last week and looking at how the games kind of were. If we actually get a look at some of the highlights from last week, we can kind of see that the games were messy from Cloud9 Academy going into it, where it wasn't very solid gameplay that we have been seeing from them consistently before.
Yes, it's been something that we need to look at and we need to analyze as much as humanly possible. So when you look at those sloppy mistakes, you can't just be capitalizing off of the other team. That's not going to get you to a top spot in international events, even in the LCS. That's not going to work out for you. You need to be making those proactive plays. You need to have your own voice and strategy when it comes to shot calling.
Yeah, now, this is where we do need to see this coming in from Cloud9 Academy, because they cannot be making those simple mistakes that they did last week, where they were giving up early game pressure, they weren't playing with their leads properly, and had to fight from a deficit at certain points, where there was a rise in Gangplank that we saw last week that they almost lost to. Thankfully for them, they're able to find a good pick onto Gangplank, get that pick onto TSM Academy's top laner, Pycake Lord. And that way they could win the game out from there. But that's a lot of luck. That's relying on your other team making mistakes. And so for Cloud9 Academy, they cannot have that. They cannot have a position where they're capitalizing on the mistakes of others. Because Optic Academy, they're in a really good team composition where they're the ones who can find that one person out of position and win the game off of that.
Well, the thing about both these team comps is they both have a win condition. They both have options to be proactive. It's up to whoever makes those proactive decisions to execute on them properly and not mess up and allow those windows of opportunity for the other team. So when you have Optic Academy with a Skarner comp, you have the pick potential, you have the Orianna for team fights, you have the Jhin for long range, you have all those options. For Cloud9 Academy, you have Riven Backdoor, you have Yasuo carrying, you have Swain for team fights, and you have the Morgana to avoid picks as well as get picks yourself. Who's going to capitalize? We'll have to see.
Exactly, as we have loaded up onto the Rift for the first game of the doubleheader that we have for today. Optic Academy have already gotten themselves in the line of scrimmage as Cloud9. They hustled themselves into the same.
Yep, not too much going to be happening at this level 1. Yes, Morgana has a stronger one, but the whole team has decided not to go with her, and I believe that's a wise choice just because of how level 1s seem to turn out in the 8.13 patch.
Interesting to look over to Shiro, though. With the longsword, 3 health pots instead of going for the Dorn's Blade or even going for the Dorn's Shield. That way that you have a little bit extra safety in lane. Feels like he's going to be very powerful into Alorum and wants to look for those early kills.
Shiro's not about safety in lane. He is all about going that all-out aggression that could turn very easily into an early Tiamat. It could also turn into something like lethality if he wanted to. A lot of options available to him, and he's not burdened down by 450 investment into an item that doesn't upgrade.
Really interesting as well to see that stopwatch consistently coming out from Mundos today, where they just want to have that extra safety, want to be able to juggle the aggro. Probably going to look for a dive onto Shiro, if I'd imagine, because that's really why you get it. You want to be the one taking up the tower and then juggling aggro on someone else after you've gone a little bit too deep.
And this is something Optic Academy practiced in the last game, was going under turrets, and then they actually used too many flashes, I feel like, in those early ganks. Yes, they got an 0-5 Darius in the first 15 minutes of the game, but they weren't able to capitalize off of it because, Fantastic wasn't able to just get more pressure out of it. He used his flash early, and so he wasn't able to do anything else.
Currently just having a good dueling in each and every lane. Nobody getting that much of a sizable lead just yet. Fnatic is trying to get an early scuttle crab for himself and be on the top side of the map. Could have possibly looked for a little bit of aggression onto Shiro, but playing it smart since Shiro is not shoving in just yet. Probably going to wait a little bit for any sort of aggression, as Svenskeren has to smite the the scuttle
crab. Disgusting.
Well, he's very smug in his ways. That's what it is.
And in the bot lane, we see Eclipse going a little aggressive with that early level 2, but neither team has a level advantage so far. However, Tots have been burned, so now Eclipse just down to 1.
Down to 1, a little bit low on mana as Keith probably going to look for another pull. They can combo that with the Smoothie on Dark Binding. Can probably look for an actual summoner on the side of Optic Academy, getting that out of Eclipse or Gate. But I doubt we're going to see too much aggression for some time, purely due to the fact of how the junglers are. They need to be able to get those abilities. They need those items so that when they look for these ganks, such as right now in mid on the Golden Glue, they can actually get a little bit of damage. Golden Glue probably going to hold on to the flash as long as possible. Not even going to flash, just goes back easily.
That was a lot of damage, though, coming out of Fnatic, just going in immediately on that level 3, and getting enough so that Golden Glue has to back. And without teleport, he's going to be back for a while.
Should have looked to see if he had gone for the sorcery route as a secondary. That way he has celerity for a little bit extra damage. So we do have an in-game pause, so we're going to take a little bit of a hiatus waiting for that game to get back. We have been having some technical difficulties all day long, unfortunately. That's kind of why we've been only going on now as opposed to the 5 o'clock start time we were supposed to have, but that's okay. That does happen every once in a while, especially with how hot it is right now here in California.
Yeah, indeed. Luckily, we do have the air conditioning on today.
Yeah,
finally.
Not going to be sweating up a pool.
Well, no promises from this side of the cast, but at the very least, it'll be less pools of sweat.
Yes, it will. I mean, you got the blood red going on, and I got the shark, so maybe
I did want to talk about your shirt. It is
nice.
Shark Week this week,
It is Shark Week. It is. So yeah, actually, I was talking to Golden Glue. He would have liked to have seen tornadoes on it. So you get not just the sharks, you get the Sharknado.
Yep.
Unfortunately,
it's a true combo.
See, and now I got to go look for that. I got to see if they actually make that, because I want that now. I didn't want it before, but now I want it.
Yeah. So. I mean, it has to exist, right? Because we thought about it. Someone else must have thought about it. And speaking of thinking about it, we are thinking about getting back into game. The pause is over.
Yeah, pause is over. Just a short one. Probably a little bit of technical difficulty briefly. But now, everyone's getting a couple backs in. Already have the double daggers for Golden Glue. Double rings for Palafox.
Yep, that's a pretty strong start, but...
Ooh, that was a great pullback and a beautiful dark binding from Smoothie to capitalize. He was just in front of the minion on that one.
It was very close, but unfortunately Eclipse just not in the right positioning right there. That was a mistake that C9 Academy capitalized on, and again, while not a proactive play, it was one that benefited them.
This is kind of what we were alluding to before. All they needed was one good pull coming in from Keith, and it can easily be comboed with Smoothie. And honestly, that play really shouldn't have happened from the side of OPTA Academy had Eclipse been a little bit more respectful of the damage that can come in from both Swain and Morgana.
Yeah, that was just unlucky minion timing right there from Eclipse and OPTA Academy, but now you see the power of Keith and Smoothie. I feel like Optic is going to play a little bit more cautious now that they have that one kill down and teleport has been used up.
Golden Glue going pretty aggressive onto Palafox. Doesn't have to worry too much about the auto attacks as long as you put up that wind wall. That is the one thing you can block from Orianna as long as you have that up. But it is surprising to see that Golden Glue is able to get this much priority in the mid lane over an Orianna.
Yeah, but he does have practice on this Yasuo. We did see him play it earlier in the split, and I feel like he is going to be one of those people who plays those carries, plays them exclusively well, and has played this matchup before, as both of these champions are extremely common.
Now for Fnatic, sitting on the fact that he does have the Chilling Smite as well as those Predator boots, where does he look for a gank? It's seeming like there's not really many avenues because Golden Glue is getting shoved in, he's shoving in Palafox consistently and always having Svenskeren nearby bot lane. Already have the pretty much the just straight 2 versus 2 kill going over to Cloud9 Academy, and then Shiro being very respectful this game and not shoving in that hard.
No, not at all. Shiro, I want to say so much improvement over the last few weeks. Yes, you played Singed last week and you can't really hold on that, but...
Oh, that damage on to Gate. Only taking him down to half, but it was a beautiful engage coming in from Cloud9, purely for the fact that we did see on the Tribush was coming in Fnatic, trying to see if he can get any sort of wraparound gank.
Yep, bot lane not happening, but a little bit of jungle fight going in the river.
A little bit for now. Svenskeren's got to be very careful. Does get the permafrost on to Fnatic. That was a flash away from the shockwave as Shiro and Golden Glue are looking for the chase. That is the teleport. Beautiful knock-up into the last breath, but it wasn't going to be able to follow up a little bit more. Keith is on the backside. It's 4 versus 4 with Smoothie starting to roam down. Still nothing coming in from Alorum because he already used TP to get back into lane.
So Keith teleported in right there, but they didn't actually have a confirmed anything. They knew Fnatic still had Flash. They knew that Palafox still had Flash. I'm not entirely sure that Keith wanted to teleport in right there, as there was no pincer. That was the route that the rest of the team was coming from, and I feel like that was just a waste of a summoner spell.
Yeah, it was, unfortunately. They thought they had a little bit more, especially with the Infernal Drake up, and they knew Alorum couldn't join into the fight. But you're right. It does feel like it was a little bit of greed almost on the side of Cloud9 Academy, where they thought they had this play, they thought they had the pressure, but really it was just a little too ambitious.
It's early on in the game, and no champions have used up their summoner spells yet. There were so many flashes on the board for both sides that it was honestly a risk for Cloud9 Academy to go in for that, and for it, they lose a lot of summoner spells themselves, as well as a little bit of map pressure because of Keith's teleport being down.
But Keith is sitting 20 CS over Eclipse. That first blood kill on Etienne has been very nice to the bot lane of Cloud9 Academy, where Eclipse is doing his best to try to come back into this game, but he's only sitting on the Boots of Speed and a dagger compared to already having the Catalyst on the side of Keith.
It's a lot of tankiness coming in from Keith, and he's going to be hard to kill considering he hit 6 and has that Demonic Ascension ready. Gate still hasn't hit 6, so his Crow Storm will not be available, and they do have a lack of teamfight power because of it. Now, if we look towards the mid lane, I'd like to look at Palafox and Golden Glue, because every time Palafox pushes in, Cloud9 Academy respects it. Svenskeren is there and waiting, always ready for that gank coming in from the side of Fnatic.
Gate did take a little bit of damage from both the Smoothie and Keith, but not in too much threat. He was far back enough where you didn't want to see that full engage from Keith and Smoothie. Don't have Shoal Shackles just yet from Smoothie either, so not going to have the permanent CC that you might want on the Fiddlesticks before he has the Crow Storm.
Yep, it's one of those things where both teams are kind of in a holding period and they need to wait until all the ults are available before they can actually engage and get those kills that they're looking for. Cloud9 Academy is still holding a lead at about 1,200 gold. It's not a whole lot, but at 8 minutes and 44 seconds, anything is quite nice.
Still wanted to see where Fnatic is going to make his first movement. He's only had a couple plays where it's not necessarily been him looking for a fight. He just happened to find Svenskeren in the river and got a little bit of poke. The one use of the Predator so far, but It's really just been Cloud9 ones looking for the plays. That was the ult coming in from Sven. It will lock down Gate for the meantime as Eclipse is getting zoned away. Beautiful demonic extension coming out of Keith to get 2 kills so quickly. Nowhere to run. Triple kill onto Swain.
There is everything going right for the side of Cloud9 Academy. That was a proactive play coming in with 4 people on that bot side dive, reacting at the same time to Fnatic being there and unfortunately losing his life. A great play from Cloud9.
It's also even better because look at the teleport timer from Olorum. Just moments away from coming up. And now here's the replay and how you can see it was just a great wraparound from Cloud9.
There's a lot of aggro juggling from the side of Keith and Smoothie. So you see Smoothie taking 2 tower shots and then using that immediately so that he doesn't take any more. And at the same time, Svenskeren is in range, then Golden Glue. And since that juggle happened and because of the positioning, Keith was able to pick up 2 kills and a third goes over to the side of Cloud9 Academy.
It's just great. And look how far ahead Keith is now. Sitting 3-0-1. He already had a CS lead. Now it's getting more and more exaggerated over for the side of Cloud9 Academy. And again, you're looking over to Optic Academy, looking over to Fnatic, who hasn't had these proactive plays that you need to on Starner, and now mid lane, Palafox was the one getting aggressive. Shockwave flashed away from Smoothie. Doesn't have the stopwatch this time, so he did have to get away.
Didn't have the stopwatch, but did have the flash, and that's another thing that comes up from this Cloud9 Academy gank from the bot side. Smoothie didn't have to flash, Keith didn't have to flash. Both of them were in position and still have those summoner skills available. Smoothie having to use flash right there and get out of a Palafox skill.
Keith is getting a little bit more farm in mid lane, continuing to get the scale over the side of Eclipse. You're right, it's just been Cloud9, pretty much been proactive. They've been the ones to read these calls, and they might even be able to get a little bit more as Svenskeren is there. But there's 3 members from Optic Strong. Even though the first brick gold was given over to the hands of Svenskeren before, they are in a threat if they go for a 2v3.
Yep, and this is where it gets scary because the Infernal Drake is still up. Svenskeren clearing that out. Dragon is aggroed, but Sven is just going to walk away. Not a care in the world. And in mid lane now being pressured by Cloud9 Academy.
Keith still getting the funnel. He's essentially the one getting funneled gold this time around because he's the one ahead. He's doing a great job on Swain, been getting great pulls back whenever he has the never moves connect. And now Infernal Drake being the pressure point from Cloud9 Academy with the Optic nowhere to be seen.
Nope, and they're not going to contest it because they knew Svenskeren was there, they knew they didn't have vision, and it would have been a fool's errand to try going into that blind considering how many ults were up for the side of Cloud9 Academy.
Now I want to turn our attention over towards itemization. If you look over to Shiro, he hasn't completed any items yet, still working on getting the Black Cleaver, especially since he's not quite ahead on gold over Alorum, but he has an Executioner's Culling in this matchup.
Yes, he does. So he's ready to fight that 1v1. He's willing to split push, and he's just buying that so he shows Mundo level 1 ult is not going to be effective at all should they decide to do it.
Look at the gold differential, though, and where it all is. It's all onto Keith right now. He's going to be the carry. And with the fact that he's already finished that Rod of Ages compared to Eclipse still working on those components, it's looking pretty good for Keith.
2 stacks already, so that's quite something going over to the side of him. 3 kills already at 12 minutes. He is absolutely loving this. Considering we saw him 2 weeks ago playing the Morgana saying, I don't want to carry, I just want to play Morgana and not have to
I just want to farm.
I just want to farm. Just let me farm. Now he's farming and killing.
See, the one thing that does worry me a little bit for Cloud9 Academy is we've seen them in this position many, many times. They get an early lead. They're the ones up 3,000 gold, but let's put that on pause just for a moment as that was the land of the ult on to one person, but triple man knockback from Shockwave. They dragged in Golden Glue, but that's not the person you wanted to bring back into the fight. You might be able to finish it off, but not just yet. You lost your own life. Alorum trying to do his best to turn it back around on to Keith. Double kills for Alorum. Trade of 2 for 2 evenly across the board.
That was an incredibly close fight coming in from Optic Academy. C9 Academy did, in fact, pull the trigger on that, but they weren't able to make those confirms that they needed as quickly as they needed. So Optic Academy just capitalizing beautifully.
Shiro really got out of that fight really quickly. He kind of was in it for a little bit over. Actually, no, he wasn't even in it just yet. He was just walking because you look at this replay and look how far away he is.
He is just on the other side of the map, and we see Shiro just walking over, noticing that his team is dying, and then realizing he cannot actually be in this fight. So this was Optic Academy utilizing their better positioning in order to get more kills and actually make that fight into a 2v2.
Got a lot of damage on this tier 1 in mid as well, taking it down below 50% health. So that way they at least have an easier rotation if they want to go for another play. And they started getting a little bit of that gold back. Sure, it's still 3,000 that spreads the two teams, but they're getting a lot of that gold on to Palafox, who's someone we mentioned can be a huge carrying force for Optic.
Not only that, with 2 kills onto Mundo, he might be able to go against Shiro if he gets just a little more experience. That level 1 ult, not very helpful, but once you start getting to level 2 and level 3 sadism, you have so many options for 1v1ing and split pushing and stopping a Shiro split push.
But like we mentioned before, that is the Executioner's Calling already completed from Riven, so it is a way to at least stop the early game and stop a little bit of those sadisms from doing too much healing in the meantime. I do want to see how the side of Optic are going to be able to play around the fact that Shiro is still just farming up. He hasn't really been a part of too many of these fights except for the one around Dragon that didn't net any kills.
Yes, but now he has that Black Cleaver, so he has the damage, he has the ability to split push, and he has a little more tankiness to push against the grain. So now he's heading bot lane while the rest of the team is going towards that top side, getting a little bit of damage, but Palafox with the wave clear.
You could tell that they're trying to bait in a fight from Optic, hoping that Palafox went a little bit too far. He used to cleanse in the previous fight to get himself out of dodge and get away from Keith so that way he didn't die, but they know that on Cloud9, that is no longer something they have to worry about. So if Palafox steps a little bit too far forward trying to defend this turret, he's an easy pick.
He is an easy pick. Orianna just being one of those low mobility mages, very difficult to get away if you do not have your summoner spells. And Cleanse is almost off of cooldown, so Palafox is feeling a little bit more confident. However, still has to stay back now that the team is backed off.
It's really interesting as well for the side of Optic Academy. There's been 3 members pushing in top side from Cloud9, but nobody really answering that to try to help out Palafox, and a lot of damage has gone down to that tier 1.
It's a lot of damage, but it's still not the turret yet, and I feel like now this is the push now that Palafox has backed off, and they will give up that turret for actually nothing unless they decide to push this mid turret, which it looks like we see Jin, we see Fiddlesticks, but no turret quite yet as Golden Glue is holding in for now.
See, that's the problem when you have Jin. He does a lot of damage to champions, but he does struggle to take down turrets really quickly, so it did take him quite some time. It does seem that they finally will be able to get the answer of turret for turret, but very delayed out of Optic, where they didn't even get the vision control that would be necessary to net that a positive play.
It's a really strange play because they sent 5 people to mid in order to get Alorum actually going in, as Shiro getting collapsed on.
Shiro having beautiful dodges, though, using those broken wings to get over the wall, as a good Riven should.
Certainly broken, am I right? So now that Riven is back into the bot lane, she will be able to push out against the Mundo, and that lane continues to be a dead even heat with those 2 kills separating them.
2 kills separating him, and it's on to Alorum, who had a very difficult time earlier today against Counter Logic Gaming Academy. This time around, he does seem to be in a more positive role, in a role that's much more comfortable for him, where he's not behind, he's not struggling, and he's shoving in Shiro consistently.
He is shoving it in, and now that he's seen the Mundo play, now that he's been a victim to the Mundo being constantly ahead, he knows how it goes. So now that he's in that comfortable role, we do see Cloud9 Academy going towards that Rift Herald.
This is the thing that we were just talking about before, where Optic, they might have gotten the tier 1 in mid, but they didn't set up any vision control. They weren't able to pinpoint any of these objectives that could easily be taken by Cloud9 Academy. They really have to go for an answer in this bot lane. Try to see if they can get this turret away from Shiro, who's just dodging away and not wanting to put himself in too much of a hazard. Flashed away, does have some shields, and that was an ult burn from Gate, and maybe they will be able to get the turret.
That will be an ult burn, but that wasn't a flash burn, and Keith is, Eclipse is actually using that ultimate to clear the waves as Palafox does walk up. What I want to talk about is Gate not flashing after the Riven. That is a common play that we've seen in Academy, is just going in a little too hard, using too many resources to get a single kill. That was great patience on the side of Gate.
It really was. It was nice play from him. They got rid of Shiro, they got the flash out of him, they were able to get the tier 1 turret. At the same time, we do have to keep in mind that was 3 members on the side of Optic that looked for that play. Netted them a turret, but they lose so much pressure in mid and top. There was a lot of damage put onto the tier 2 from Golden Glue, who has been put into a split push scenario.
Yes, he has, but now he's joining up with the rest of the team, looking for this mid turret, need to get it down as soon as possible so they can get a little bit better warding and they can actually play against a Fiddlesticks, because when you don't have wards against Fiddlesticks, it is incredibly scary.
Predator has been popped from Fnatic. He does want to look to make a play. He flashes in onto Keith, who has not popped the Demonic Ascension just yet. Here comes the teleport in from Shiro. It might be a little bit too late. They already lost Keith. has to cancel a TP. Looked for the split push. No turret to run away from. Dark Binding will disengage Alorum for the time being, but the smite slow down Svenskeren as well as having the fear dodge away from the deadly flourish. So Sven will survive, and that is a lot of pressure put onto the side of the map from Shiro.
Yeah, Shiro getting that split push is important, but at the same time, Optic Academy making that proactive play, going forward, and juggling Keith in such a beautiful way that he could not use that Demonic Ascension and get that extra health to live through that fight.
And he just picked up the Zhonyas as well. A little bit too late for that fight, so him getting caught out, him the guy with all the gold for Cloud9 Academy, it was a great play from Fnatic to punish the position from Keith that has been something many people have criticized him for in the past.
Yep, coming out in full force as Viper's up.
That is the Crow Storm only on to Golden Glue. They're trying to see if they can dodge away for a little bit. The Shoal Shackles, here comes the Shockwave. It is going to do a little bit of damage, but they're going to be able to finish off Keith. Instead now Palafox, the focus from Cloud9. Return kill from Palafox, but it will be 2-4-1 favoring Cloud9.
And this was the warding situation that we were talking about earlier. Yes, they did have the 1v2, but at the same time, they didn't know where the rest of Cloud9 Academy was, so they got collapsed upon, and they only picked up 1 kill instead of giving up 2 of their own.
Yeah, and this is something going well for the side of Cloud9 Academy. They've been really doing a great job with the ward position. They've been doing a good job in vision, and you can tell from this play, while it looks like it might have been a good pick from Optic trying to get a lot of damage onto Golden Glue before anyone else could show up, it was just a little bit too late.
Yeah, it was. You see Smoothie in the background also going down to about 1/3 health, but then because of the rest of the team just getting in the faces of Optic Academy, he was able to kite around the edge of the fight, still throw out Dark Bindings and Black Shields, and live through that entire engagement.
So Sam,
yes,
when does Shiro join the game?
That is the question we must all ask ourselves every single game when he plays Riven. He does come in, and we saw in week 1 especially that 4-man clutch stun coming in. I don't think it's going to happen this game just because of the spread outness of Optic Academy, but I feel like once he gets maybe another item and a half, he will be able to join the team and actually make impact on these team fights.
Yeah, he has the Black Cleaver, has Executioner's Calling, starting to work on those Merc Treads. He's going to get pretty scary soon, but at the same time, he hasn't been really snowballing like you want to see a Riven do.
No, he hasn't, and that's just Alorum getting out whenever Shiro puts pressure. He gets under the turret, he makes sure there's no possibility of a gank coming in after him, and then he clears the way. Very safe play, and then he joins the team when he needs to. So right now, Optic Academy is playing this beautifully against the Riven on Shiro.
Svenskeren forced to pop the Rift Herald in the river. Was timing out, unfortunately, so had to at least get rid of it, but the rest of Optic not making any calls to try to counteract that so they get a free turret off of it.
It's a nice turret, it's a gold lead, but at the same time, will they be able to push anything? Actually, that's going to get a second charge.
And they're not doing anything still. We have to keep in mind that this is the patch where they introduced the threshold onto turrets, especially the Inhibit Nexus, so when it gets below the 2/3 and 1/3, it stays at that. It will regen a little bit, and now Optic making the call to look for the play, but Fnatic is the one who's drawn back in, and they stop Gate from being able to do anything, and they will get on into Fnatic. They'll finish off the Fiddlestick. They don't have to worry about the tank member of Alorum because Cloud9 collapsed onto Optic.
That was a sloppy engagement coming in from Optic Academy. Not over yet.
It is not, because Smoothie got himself in a little bit worse for wear. Had to be careful of those shots coming in from Jin. Alorum still into the thicket of everything as Svenskeren is holding on to dear life. Shut down for Alorum. He's the one gifted the kill, but Shiro finally into the game. He got the flash out of Palafox. You can tell he wants more. He is not done. He has the Blade of the Exile, but unfortunately not going to be able to find any more kills.
Well, now if we count up the items, he has, what, 3 half items and a full item? So now, that is a total of 2.5 items. He has joined the fight, and it is beautiful. He was able to teleport in and actually get another kill onto the side of Cloud9 Academy.
But he didn't get a kill or kill credit for anything.
Nope.
So unfortunately, we're going to chalk that up to Shiro still being AFK in this game, even though it was a nice teleport. It was a great disengage, and we can look at how this started from Optic being the ones to make the call.
So that was a bit of a sloppy engage, as I said. Fnatic, yes, he went in, but at the same time, there was a wind wall there. There was no one there to capitalize, and Smoothie actually zoned out the damage members of the side of Optic Academy so that they could not actually get damage there.
And see, honestly, we looked at this play, and it's kind of a typical Cloud9 Academy overextending a little bit too much. When they could have backed off, they could have been really satisfied with the win that they got.
Yep, and this shutdown was just, that overextension continued, but at the same time, Optic Academy do back out of this without getting any more kills, so a great reaction coming out of that.
Yeah, it is a at least decent reaction coming in from the side of Cloud9, where they're able to hemorrhage a little bit of the loss that could have happened had Shiro not shown up into the fight. But it is a little bit telling that there are the mistakes that can happen unless they pick off Alorum first. They have those grievous wounds from Executioner falling. That is the problem. He is so difficult to kill. That is Demonic Ascension into the last breath. Four-man Shockwave. It's not enough damage. Gate trying to get into the backline, but he was zoned away from the rest of his team, who's getting taken down. Golden Glue finishes off Palafox, slicing him apart. And with only 2 members still alive for Optic, could be a Baron call in the near future for Cloud9. The curtain call will dissuade them for the time being.
Yes, indeed. But now the curtain call is over. It is time to look at that Baron. Shiro still in the lane, though. They know he's there. Backing, no longer on a ward, but extremely low and no teleport. This would be a risky Baron call.
It does seem that Cloud9 Academy, while they wanted to get it, they realized the same thing. They're like, the health bars are too low. We can't go for this now. We got a nice win. Let's back, get more vision control, and look for another fight.
So there is patience on the side of Cloud9 Academy, and that's what we want to see. However, it's just not enough patience. They're still losing things that they don't have to be losing. They got an advantage there, but I feel like it's not the full advantage. And this is what I'm talking about. They go for Alorum. They get a small advantage. They get that ultimate, and it's nice, but they can't actually capitalize on it. Yes, Gate goes in and they react, but there's no proactive play here. This is just an incorrect play that was capitalized on, and they were able to utilize the mistakes of Optic Academy.
This is partly what we talked about with the composition drafted by Optic, where we didn't want to see that Skarner. It just didn't seem to fit in with how they want to go for this play.
Going for Alorum again.
And Alorum, again, being the guy who's really far up. This time around, it is a lot of damage coming in from Shiro. Has to use the stopwatch, trying to heal up as much as humanly possible, but he's not going to live. He's shut down, and on the other side, Golden Glue had found out Gate, so no possible flank from the Crowstorm. Now with only the 2 members gone from Optic, it seems it was enough to make Cloud9 feel confident going for the Baron.
All right, Cloud9 Academy, they thought it's not going to work the first time, let's try it again. So it actually works that time because we had vision and because they actually had enough damage to take out Mundo that time. They waited out the ultimate, and because of that, they were able to get enough damage.
Not just that, look at that. That's a last Whisper that was completed by Shiro before. Now, with the Baron down to 50% health, Cloud9 have to do an excellent job at zoning away Fnatic. They got the knock-up. Shiro goes over to the other side to get the Blast Cone. That is the curtain call, poking at Smoothie just a little bit. They're holding off for as long as possible because they know that Palafox is nearby. He can get a beautiful shockwave, but it's going to be finished off by Smoothie as Fnatic had tried so hard to flash in, but it was just a little bit too late.
And there was nothing they could do. One other thing we talked about when we talked about drafts is how this is a pick con coming out of Optic Academy. When they get into these teamfight situations, they can get that beautiful 4-man shockwave, but there's no follow-up. There's not actually anything they can do besides a Crowstorm from a support Fiddlesticks. There's no AD damage, and there's no jungle damage. So what do once they get that 4-man shockwave? See everyone low? That's it.
Exactly, and really, we look at the fight before where it was like beautiful shockwave. It didn't work out so well. Now we look at the Baron that was picked up by Cloud9.
Yep, and we do see great zoning from the ball of Orianna, and so that was a lot of their delay. They also knew that Fnatic was right there. However, because 5 members were still reasonably healthy, they were able to secure it very easily.
Now, with the Baron on top of the heads of Cloud9 Academy, they're looking to see if they can finally crack open the base of Optic. For Optic, what do they have to do to stop the bleeding? Can they even fight back into Cloud9 at this point?
I'm not sure if that's going to be possible because we already saw the maximum of the team fight. What I would like to see out of Optic Academy is getting a pick possibly onto Shiro, this dangerous split pusher who has no deaths so far, or maybe even spend Scarin so that they lose that tank. However, they just don't have that option anymore because of the warding coming out from C9 Academy.
The warding coming in, Shiro cannot be stopped anymore by Alorum. He's got himself the mortal reminder. Even Alorum has realized this and doesn't want to step up to this Riven, calling in some support from Fnatic just to be in the wings in case Shiro looks for an all-in.
Yep, and Mundo, 3 items himself. So now that he has the Warmonks, he's able to go into Shiro and back out if there is something that goes wrong. He has Sadism up, so should there be a dive, he's able to react, but Cloud9 Academy putting the pedal to the metal.
Oh, they look for the pick onto Palafox. He did use Cleanse pretty quickly to get away from both the Glacial Prison and the Never Move of Keith. More poke onto these turrets. Curtain Call has been opened up, trying to see if they can poke at Smoothie and Keith. just for the time being, but they weren't able to get that much damage on it. Instead, just baiting out the time, hoping that the Baron buff will only get so much.
The Jhin pick is always incredibly risky when you don't have a tank support because you have to rely on long-range damage the entire game. You can't ever get in the face, you can't ever put down consistent damage, you just have to use the ult, use the Deadly Flourish, and those are the options available to you for AD damage.
It's unfortunate for the side of Optic. They just don't have that many answers, and look how far behind Eclipse is right now. He's got the Storm Razor, sure, but he's still working on more crit. He wants to get the Infinity Edge, but he doesn't even have a second item yet completed compared to that of Keith, who is sitting on 3 and a Quicksilver Sash.
Not only that, but he just picked up a Blasting Wand, so you know, 40 AP.
40 AP,
40
a
AP.
lot compared to, what is that, maybe like 180 over on the side of Eclipse? Well, it's more than that.
A little more than that.
But it's more than I'm talking about just like what he's behind in terms of respective gold and stats. It's just, I think he's probably sitting on more close to like 270.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
270 is probably what he's sitting on, but it's so far behind.
It is so far behind. I agree. Just because you are a Jhin, you need to get those early advantages and move into the mid game so that you don't fall behind. Now that he doesn't have a single full crit item, what is he going to do?
Right now, all
Alpha
pointer press. Wow, I can't believe he actually got killed on that. We see this really far out because it's everywhere getting pressured at the same time from Cloud9. They did trade mid for mid, but the inhibitor looks like it's going to finally be broken open. Shiro wants to go pretty deep into this with the Black Shield on top of himself. There's the route on too smoothly. Flash away from Gate, but Gate is not having any of it. He wants to do as much as he can, but he's zoned by Keith this entire time. Glacial Prison does not connect onto anybody, but it is all about zoning. Keith realizes that as well. That's all they need to do, and they might be able to get onto Fnatic and finish him off. Killing spree of Svenskeren, proving himself on this Sejuani.
Very difficult to pull off in that scenario, but Keith is so far ahead that there's actually nothing that can kill him right now. So he just went in, killed everyone, backed out.
Not just that, they also got the inhibitor. That play from Cloud9 was pressuring every single point of Optic at the same time and seeing if Optic could actually react in time. But really, the only thing that looked even decent was the fact that they got the trade of Palafox for Golden Glue.
And that was just because Golden Glue was under turret, he was alone, and if we look at the rest of that team fight, that's just Keith in the front line. That's a front line damage threat. There's nothing you can do once he gets ahead. He's just providing so much damage, so much zoning potential, that he even captures Fnatic, and that is it. That's the fight. They get the inhibitor, back right out.
Fnatic is so far behind in terms of items as well. He has, sure, the Dead Man's Plate, but Cinderhulk after that, now having Ninja Tabbies and a little bit of Magic Resist, he cannot go near Keith, who is, as we mentioned before, so far ahead.
Yeah, this is almost a bait of a lineup coming in from Cloud9 Academy. You have the AD damage threats of Riven and Yasuo, and that's what Fnatic built to counter, but when you have a Skarner, you need to also build that MR. You need to make sure that you have something against the most fed player on Cloud9 Academy.
Right now, for Cloud9 Academy, they were able to crack open the base just a little bit of Optic, but Optic did stop the game from ending completely. They didn't lose everything. They only lost that one inhibitor in mid. And with the Baron no longer on Cloud9, they have to wait a little bit if they want to look for that full pressure, unless they can utilize Shiro and Golden Glue in the split push.
And this is where proactive decisions are coming in. Cloud9 Academy now pushing up the mid lane with 4, with 1 on the split push. Will Golden Glue be able to get it? Nope. Cloud9 Academy, however, at the same time, moving over to that top side, a very good play, and they will secure that turret.
They do flank pretty properly to make sure that they take down the inhibitor in the top side as well, because that's what they want. They want to make sure that continuing to crack open the base of Optic, they even zone ult with Svenskeren, as Alorum was so far forward, he couldn't really do much, and now Fnatic gets himself caught out. Triple man shockwave cannot be capitalized ever. Sure, the turret helps Sig kill, but that's about it. As now for Cloud9, they go back to what they started on, this inhibitor, so that way they can continue to crack open the faces. Eclipse, he flashed forward for that kill.
That feels bad, man. You get that 4th shot, you think, okay, they're below 25% health, 1 shot ought to do it. No, it doesn't, and that's just what happens when you get that far behind on a Jhin.
And look how close Shiro was to dying too. He thought he had the crit damage. He's gone for that full crit with the Storm Razors, has the Infinity Edge with the Rapid Fire Cannon, but it just sadly was that much lower than it needed to be.
It was very unfortunate. So much damage coming in from the side of Cloud9 Academy that they're able to just go in, even tank stuff without tanks. Like, they have Svenskeren, yes, but Keith is so tanky right now that they don't even need to rely on just one tank.
13,000 is what Cloud9 is ahead at the moment. They're sitting very far forward compared to that of Optic, who have found themselves in a very rough position where it almost seems like an insurmountable task to be able to take down Cloud9 in any fight in any meaningful capacity.
The one meaningful thing that they keep getting, though, is Golden Glue. Every single fight that we see, he's gone down when they have this major advantage. Cloud9 Academy just not finding the synergy that they need right now, and Golden Glue is left out to dry.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's someone who's worth leaving out to dry. They have 3 members looking for Shiro as well. This is
4.
Honestly, Optic Academy, they're looking for anything. They're hoping to get any member. If Shiro steps a little far forward, this could be the turn on to the Baron. Cloud9, they realized with that vision control, look at how much they had with the little of Optic. There's no way they can even be spotted out starting up this Baron.
That play was extremely telegraphed, and not only that, Cloud9 Academy were able to capitalize off of a huge mistake. So this is what they've been using as their win condition, is just finding those mistakes, making a play off of that, and then because of that, they have Baron, and I feel like this is where they can finish the game.
Yeah, second Baron of the game as well. With how they changed it a while ago, it makes it that much more powerful. So unless there's a miracle for the side of Optic Academy, they really just have to hope, for whatever reason, all the members of Cloud9 Academy decide to dive the fountain.
I mean, we've seen stranger things happen at the Academy series. I don't feel like a 5-man fountain dive is going to happen, but I've been proven wrong before.
Could possibly happen. Teleport from Keith, though, just to make sure that he gets in range so that they can look for this possible fight. Alarm, again, the guy who keeps stepping far forward, but with the Morellonomicon, with the Mortal Reminder for Cloud9, they can easily stop the healing from Seda Zamundo.
But the Mortal Reminder is not with them right now. We see Shiro in the bot lane doing that split push while the inhibitor in the mid is being pressured. Cloud9 Academy are just getting so much done right now. They got that turret, and now they'll look to pressure both inhibitors.
They look to pressure it and try to see if they can keep dragging apart Optic, where they don't have the front line of Alarm anymore, and every time he joins in, Shiro goes right back onto the inhibitor, doing more damage. They already have the supers coming in the top lane, so this, with the Baron buff on top of them, could be Cloud9 looking for the end.
All right, this has been a clean play so far. Let's see if they can finish it out, as we do see both turrets are now completely exposed. No more structures beyond those Nexus turrets and the Nexus itself. We see Shiro and Smoothie on the bot side while the rest are pushing in the mid.
They're just waiting for more minions. That way they have the Baron to actually empower something. Hitting chip after chip from the cannon. Pull back onto Alarm, but not really the member that you want to go for just yet. Shiro, he went for the back, and that way he has the Guardian's Angel. This could be it. This could be where Cloud9 look for the end. They already look for the jump. That is a beautiful knockup. Shockwave does nothing in these fights consistently, as the rest of the members of Optic now have to just hold on in their own fountain. Even Keith is saying, I will do damage to you while you sit on the steps of your own base. Cloud9 Academy looking so dominant, even with the Rockets Whip, as they go up 8-1 in the Academy series.
And this is what you would expect from the top team, able to take them out in 36 minutes, slightly longer than what you'd expect, but at the same time, it was clean play at the very end of the game.
It was, and this is much better from what we have seen in the past, where they struggle after getting these early game leads. Sure, there was a couple hiccups here and there, but it was much, much better out of them.
It was indeed. We saw proactive plays in this game. We saw reactive. We saw wards. And I can't stress how important it is to get wards, especially when Shiro is pushing up on that split push. He's made great late game decisions before, but we've also seen him get caught out. We didn't see that this game.
It was honestly just a lot of great things from Cloud9 Academy, and maybe that can be a lot attributed over towards the side of Svenskeren, where he was really playing around the top side, like you had mentioned, really helping out. But we do have to mention that First Blood coming in the bot lane. I think we even have a replay for that, where we can see how Keith and Smoothie were able to catch out Eclipse.
Yeah.
The First Blood.
There was a Swain.
Not that one.
Nope, that was a week ago. But Shiro definitely putting in some work there. We do see.
Oh,
we missed the First Blood.
It's okay. All right, okay. This is a good one. This is a good one because this is how much pressure they had and how they were winning in the bottom lane.
This was also proactive play coming in from them. They moved towards that bot side. Even Fnatic used his ultimate there, which I didn't see before, and their positioning, as I mentioned before, was so good, and this is what we need to see more of out of this Cloud9 Academy team. Proactive plays, making them as early as possible. 9-minute mark, phenomenal.
And you look at the vision, that's what we were kind of talking about before, is how much control they had of that. There was literally a line right down the middle of the map where it went from one river to the other into the jungle of Fnatic, where he couldn't make any plays. He couldn't move because there's so many control wards from every single member of Cloud9.
And this is exactly what we need to see out of the Academy squad. So when you see that many wards, you have to be so afraid if you're Fnatic, and that's the word of the game, is fear. Yes, Fiddlesticks had it, but at the same time, Fiddlesticks was on his team and not helping him as much as he could have just because he couldn't do anything.
Exactly. It was just, honestly, great play coming in from the side of Cloud9. But this also goes into the draft a little, I think.
It does.
Where we always see Jhin paired up with Tompkins for the reason that Jhin is really easy to exploit. He's very immobile. You can get onto him. Morgana on the other side can easily land one Dark Binding and make sure that his day is going to be a nightmare. But really, we look over to Optic. What could they have changed to have a better just composition
Starter.
in general? The starter. we have hammered that home so many times, but what else? What else?
So I look at this team comp. I see Fiddlesticks and I see Jhin in the bot lane. So we've talked about bot lane. I want to look at mid now. We have Orianna. I don't believe that this was the synergy they were looking for because, yes, she provides the shockwave, and yes, she got some very clutch ults. We saw Palafox getting 4-man ults, and
Yes,
that
he
was
did.
insane. However, there's no follow-up on the team. I would have liked to see something like a Syndra, who still has teamfight presence, but has more pick potential.
Yeah, that would have been really nice to see. I do believe we have a highlight playlist that we can show you guys so that way we can start running through everything. We already saw this play right here where it was a really nice dive coming in from Cloud9 Academy, really just facilitated by the vision control that they had already had, and I think after this is where they were able to rotate right onto the Dragon.
Yes, they were. So that was incredible play coming in from them. When you commit 4 members, you have to make something out of it, and this team fight is one to talk about. So that was another 3-man shockwave that they got, but no capitalization because their team comp didn't allow for it. And I have to wonder exactly what they would have done had they had something like a Syndra able to put a lot of damage down and make sure Keith does not get the demonic ascension off.
Yeah, I almost wonder what would have changed if they didn't have the Mundo as well, because he got 2 of the kills. He got a double kill in that. Look at him running down people in this fight. He was very scary, but he falls off eventually. He just becomes the meat shield in the front line, but they needed damage. They needed someone else who could actually hurt Cloud9.
And they just couldn't, just because of the composition coming in from Cloud9 Academy, Smoothie especially. And we look at this pick comp, this was another example of warding happening. So they didn't see that the rest of the team was gone, and they just went all in on Smoothie and Golden Glue.
Also, right there, that was a one-man shockwave used by Palafox, where he could have easily gotten, I think, the kill on the Smoothie had he held on to that. I mean, you look at this fight right here, where I believe we do see a really good shockwave coming in from him, but it was a little bit too late. It was when the members of Optic had already died.
Yeah, this was a 2-part team fight in that it was a bad engage coming in and 2 members got picked off because of it, but I do respect Optic Academy going back in, as we see right here, with the Mundo, with the 4-man shockwave. So we do see ball is down. And this was a 2-man shockwave, excuse me.
Yeah.
But even still, got Svenskeren down really low, and Alorum was able to flash in for the kill.
Yeah, and that gets... But again, it's Alorum with the kill. 3-0-1 on Mundo, who has Sunfire and Spirit Visage. He is not a threat in terms of damage. He is just the front line. As you can tell from these fights where...
4-man.
4-man shockwave out of Palafox that cannot be capitalized on.
So that was also partly due to Gate going in before he had the Zhonya's Hourglass completed. If he had had that, I feel like that fight would have gone a completely different direction. But since he got annihilated immediately, not able to make that work. And this, Alorum just wasn't tanky enough. At level 15, it feels so bad as Mundo because you don't have the level 3 sadism, and you're not able to tank out what you want.
And not just that, look over towards Shiro's items. We mentioned it before. He has Black Cleaver and Last Whisper. So even though you are tanky as Alarm, you can't actually stand up to the Shiro, stand up to Riven.
No, not at all. And this play coming off of that was Palafox with great Orianna ball positioning. You could absolutely see what they were going for, and there was so much threat coming in. However, because the rest of the team wasn't able to do anything with it, that was just a free Baron.
Yeah, plus, I think the Shockwave was on cooldown, so there wasn't even the possibility of the steal that could go for Palafox, even though you could tell Cloud9 were playing on a way where they thought it was going to happen. Now, this is just Cloud9 playing aggressive. They have damage, and Fnatic is so far behind on this Skarner.
Yes, they were. Skarner not just pulling anything. I don't want to harp on him too much just because we already have. But we see another Shockwave in this fight, and again, this is team comp. This is a draft problem that I feel like Optic Academy could have solved at the very beginning of this game. Eclipse trying to go forward. You can see the fourth shot. goes in, but because
So
Riven
close.
Shield, so close. He just got too far behind that game, wasn't able to do anything.
Exactly. Had that kill happened, I don't think it would have changed much, to be honest. It probably would have been the exact same result regardless. It would have just been a little bit more tempered on the side of Cloud9 Academy. But now, with the win under the belt, going up to 8-1 in Academy, they're sitting pretty high, and now they're going to be going up against Echo Fox Academy, a team that has been struggling throughout the season. I believe they're actually sitting in last place